Back in the day, anime and CGI were two things that, you know, never really mixed well.
At least he picked a color that's already kind of
Nasty ass bastard!
Like water and oil, or Minecraft YouTubers and underage children. Because those guys really can't get enough of kids. I'm not really sure what was in the air back then, but I just remember being a kid and steering clear of any anime that was done in CGI, cause shit just looked kinda weird. These motherfuckers could've told me I was getting Jujutsu Kaisen, Maki and Meimei oiled up edition. And if that shit was in CGI, my brother, I am not watching. Maybe it was my puny little brain not being open to trying new things, or the most logical reason that current technology and anime studios back then just couldn't really create really good looking CGI without it taking like super long. The list of well done CGI anime is short for that reason. If you heard your favorite anime was getting adapted in CGI back then, personally, that would be my last straw of like life. I would end my life. And it's more of the fact that bad CGI is just extremely noticeable.
But what the hell, boy?
But good CGI is something that you probably won't notice unless it's pointed out to you, or if you always find yourself questioning, was that CGI? It was probably some high quality stuff. Good CGI isn't usually talked about or even given the praise it really deserves because most people can't tell when they're looking at good CGI. When it's done right, used properly, and handled by a really high tier sweatshop, it can surpass expectations, delivering performances and creating scenes that are quite literally impossible to replicate in normal animation. AOT ended pretty recently, and it's a show that really relied on high quality CGI in its final stages. And like I said, when it was executed properly, it created some of the craziest shit I've ever seen. Despite today's technology, there are still few animes that really know how to utilize CGI properly, and incoming potential hot take here. If we're talking recent examples, Chainsaw Man. I'm not gonna get too into it, but Chainsaw Man was great. But let's just say there was parts of it where the CGI looked, well, janky. But I'm willing to overlook it because, you know, when the action picks up the pace and the characters are engaged in combat, it truly looks spectacular. And I want to make it clear that CGI is not an easy thing to do. Is it quicker than traditional animation? Yeah, but that doesn't mean making quality CGI is a walk in the park. But forget that. CGI has become a new staple in anime and has created some of today's greatest anime scenes, and whether you like it or not, as time goes on, only more studios will be using it. Not too long ago, I watched Dorehedoro. I don't know how to pronounce it still. Not too long ago, I watched Dorehedoro, which is a show handled by Mappa that heavily utilizes CGI, and I thought it was a pretty insane story with some also solid CGI. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, Mappa, you're dropping the bag with this one. I was surprised to learn that a second season wasn't in the pipeline, which, given our current political and economic state of the world, would be perfect right now. Dorohedoro was the unlucky love child of CGI and just some really shitty timing. 2020 was an insane year for anime in general, and not in like a wow, so many good shows, cause yeah, that was true, but crazy year in terms of like, there was a deadly pandemic running rampant. 2020 was stacked, but with so many delays happening, in my opinion, it only really hyped up shows that were being pushed back and took away from normal airing shows. Like what I imagine people saying back then was, oh my god, Jobless Reincarnation got pushed back, or Attack on Titan was pushed back, and not saying, wow, Mappa dropped a pretty good CGI adaptation this year. And this isn't to say Dorehedoro performed bad by any means. It was successful in my opinion, but clearly not enough to warrant another season. A lot of people are already turned off from the show due to it being in CGI, and I think for most people the show just slipped through the cracks with so much news coming out. As most people know, Mappa is a genuine sweatshop. Not gonna go into it, but those workers aren't seeing their families this Christmas.
No, man, I quit. You quit? I'm done. Yes, I quit. I'm tired of this. What? No, I'm done. You're done? I'm done wasting time. I'm about to get started.
With Attack on Titan being completed, Jujutsu Kaisen finishing up this year, it would make the most sense to introduce Dorehedoro for this 2024. Since the show is mostly CGI, it wouldn't be some insane back-breaking task like animating JJK, cause I know y'all seen them episodes, that shit is crazy. I do not know how they're dropping that shit weekly. I think it would perform pretty well as it was left on an interesting cliffhanger and the show still maintains a fairly active fan base. As you guys know, I'm not a manga guy, so I'm not really sure how the story plays out, but season 1 in my opinion was a great introduction to the world of Dorehedoro. The show really stands out for its ability to maintain a sense of wonder and mystery while also grounding its story in some really relatable themes of identity, belonging, and the search for one's place in such a vast world. I felt completely captivated by the show from start to finish, and with the cliffhanger they left me on, I needed more. ASAP. The best way I can describe the plot is like an intricate jigsaw puzzle. There's so many pieces, so many different sub-stories, and you're honestly not sure how they fit together until they just do. Our main character, Cayman, is the star of this chaotic story. Imagine waking up one day with a head that looks like it belongs in a museum with no memory of your past life. His life's mission? To find the sorcerer responsible for his lizard head situation. And let me tell you, this quest is anything but ordinary. It's like watching a detective story if the detective were a giant lizard man who beats the shit out of people and I guess rips people's fucking heads off. You know what, as I read this aloud, maybe a detective show isn't really. Then there's Nikaido, Keiman's bestie and badass female lead who can throw hands and cook gyoza like a pro, which is how the two end up meeting. Far from just being a mere companion, Nikaido is the key to Keiman's lost past and possibly to his future. Her own crazy abilities hinting at deeper connections in the chaotic web of the whole. Their friendship is the heart of the show, providing an emotional anchor in a sea of insanity. Dorohedoro isn't just about a lizard man's quest though. It's a deep dive into a world where magic users and humans coexist, but not peacefully. The setting, a city named The Hole, is as grimy and tough as they come. I mean, that shit's called The Hole, the Kensington Philadelphia of this world. It's like the creators of the show asked themselves, damn, how can we make this place look as inhospitable as possible? And they just went to fucking town with it. But it's rich in life, community, and all sorts of odd traditions that create such a warm town despite not being an ideal location. Like, I wouldn't raise my kids here, but shit, I might visit. The magic users living in their own separate world are like the upper elite class with some twisted sense of fashion and morality. Our buddy Keiman, he's the wrench in their machinery. The person he was before his accident was of some sort of great importance, and if he can regain his memory or find the sorcerer who did this to him, who knows what could happen. The sorcerers are as diverse as they are bizarre, with powers that range from truly fascinating to downright freaky. With some being good and some being bad, the show really blurs the lines between villains and anti-heroes, adding another layer to the narrative. I felt like I really enjoyed the entire roster of characters from this show, from the villains, side characters, and obviously the main cast. It does such a great job at delving into the world of sorcery and finding such strange powers that it only increases your eagerness to know what kind of man Keiman was. Was he a good guy? Or a bad guy? Or a Minecraft YouTuber? I hope not. The combination of Keiman's quest to the diverse characters in the richly detailed world makes Dorehedoro a standout series in my opinion. It's a story that really captivates with its blend of horror, humor, and mystery, keeping viewers engaged as they navigate this chaotic and fascinating world. And apparently the manga is great and also finished, so what are we waiting on, Mappa? And with all the talk of CGI, another possible potential hot take is I feel that CGI was a great fit for this show, and I'm happy they decided to execute it in this direction. The show doesn't shy away from the gritty and graphic, and CGI can just really render blood, flesh, in this dystopian setting of The Hole with a level of precision and consistency that I feel like it can be hard to achieve with traditional animation. It just works. Look, I'm dick writing, but the whole point is, Mappa, this show needs another season. I need something to watch. And also, feed your workers. Goodbye, everyone.